guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Yvonne from GingerChickRehab. I'm so glad to have you back checking out what I am up to. So in today's video, I'm bringing you another one of my thrift hauls and makeovers. So here on the channel, if you're new and you're checking us out for the first time, I do lots of thrifting, lots of secondhand store shopping, and then I share with you what I find throughout a week's time, usually, if it's available. And then part of my sharing with you the hauls at the end of the video, if there's anything that I have vision for to make over, I share the process with you all. It's easier to put it all on the floor and share it with you all, so it's easy to grab. And no matter where I sit, as you see, a cat Squirt is behind me. I guess this is their bedroom. Our living room is their bedroom, so you'll see Squirt behind me today. So let's get into the haul. So right off the bat, so you can see the corner of this, it's this beautiful basket. Oh my goodness. Oh, still got some papers in it. We'll take those, we'll throw those off to the side. Now I actually picked up a picnic basket similar to this, and it has sold. So since it is sold, this one was $5.29. I love the leather handle. I won't do anything to it, but make sure that it's dusted and cleaned, and then just resell it. So usually my rule of thumb, usually about 3 times. So if I paid $5.29 for it, so go 15, 16, price on it. I might even do 18. It's a cute little basket. Nice for decor and extra storage, actually. Next, I found another one of these. I'm not even sure if this is a coffee mug or if it's for bottles, wine bottles. I believe, this was $4.29. And in the past, I've had good luck selling these. I haven't run across one in a while, so we'll see if they are still selling. So there's nothing I have to do to this other than make sure that it's clean. So it's a beautiful, nice black, no scrapage on the metal. It's in great condition, so I'll just clean it up to resell. And then the same thing, I'll probably $15, $20 is what I get for my coffee mug trees. So this is a good size one, so this one will probably be on the higher end. And I found these two. I'm pretty sure, I think I've seen these at Hobby Lobby actually. So these two were $4.29 together. So the set was $4.29. So I like how they are. They're metal. So I will probably, I'll just resell them as is. I'm not going to paint them over. I think they're in great shape. For $7.29, this is just a reproduction phone. But oh my gosh, it is super cute. Not something you run across every day by any means. I don't see any maker's tag or anything. It's just a reproduction. So it's the black, it's the cute little old vintage looking phone. So I will just resell this. Oh, I didn't realize it's a clock. Look at that, it's a clock. So apparently I should check my battery. I didn't even realize it was a clock, you guys. That's funny. So I guess I will put a battery in it and that's my ring light you see there. I'll put a battery in and make sure that it works. Now it's even cuter that it's a clock. Now this was $5.29, but I couldn't help myself. It was a pig, had some metal ears. It definitely needs the air compressor because it's got lots of cobwebs on it, and it is missing one of its gems on its eyes, but I'm pretty sure that we have one of those running around our house somewhere that either I can match or I'll take them both off or come up with something else. But super cute little pig, and we are still farmhouse, we're a farming community, so I thought he was very cute. And then for $8.29, look at, it's a swan, y'all. Okay, so it's wooden. I can't even see that. It must have been outside because it is actually kind of filthy. So I'll definitely give it a bath. There's nothing I have to do to it. Of course, who doesn't wish that it was a set, but I'll take one swan. And I could probably get $32 for a wooden swan. They don't they don't stay long in your booths, so people are happy to come across it. So I was lucky to even come across it at Goodwill. Don't worry, there's stuff I'll be making over. I'm sure, I think, anyway. So then for $4.29, I found this little pottery. It's a little, like a cheese snack. Maybe it's for your cat food. Maybe your cat's really fancy because look at the cat on it. Oh my gosh. So then this is, the handle is its tail. Oh my gosh, yes. I know, and it is, I don't want to drop it. It's 2000 and then there's a signature. So just definitely cute. I just drawn to pottery, and then especially if it's an animal form, oh my gosh, chunky little kitty. That was $4.29 for that. For $6.29, I usually don't pick up birdhouses like this, but it's in great shape. It's beautiful. It's the colors that I've kind of been doing, that turquoisey, so it definitely fits in, and it's clean. Maybe it was given as a gift. It has the chain on it still to hang, so yeah, I'll just resell this as is, and it fits in. For $4.29, I did pick up another coffee mug tree. I pick them up when I see them, especially when they're this shape. I can always put them in my inventory. I know it seems like the last few hauls I've been having one of these, but I thought maybe on this one, I like the red, but it's not completely finished red. You didn't paint, they didn't paint underneath, and that could be just the manufacturer didn't paint underneath. So I might try some chippy paint on it since I had enough in my hoard that, yes, why not? And for $4.29, there's now these just caught my eye because they reminded me of some of my decor pieces. I have some old rusty, chippy, I'm looking at it, baskets that I put my Crocs in, and that's what I envisioned for these two. I thought, oh my gosh, that would be super cute, and I might even have a lot of Crocs. I could actually sell some. So yeah, I thought, okay, yeah, I'm gonna pick these up. Well, and that's my vision for these, is just a little accentuate a Croc, a planter, something like that. And I love the paint job on it. I don't think I need to do anything to these either. $5.29, it was a set of wooden candlesticks. I love the natural, but it not in well shape above there. So I think I'd like to leave them the natural because I think natural is very in, but I need to fix the top, probably doing some kind of a wooden round on the top of these. So yeah, what were the, so originally this one was $24.99. I can't focus in on who the light's shiny from, or who, I can't read to see who made it. See how the light shines in and then you're distracted. But yeah, that's what I'll do to these. So I do have something I'm gonna make over. This kind of struck me. This one was $5.29. It's just a little set of boxes, and then of course in the store I tried straightening it out, but it's made not to straighten out, but I thought it would be fun to put, you know, kind of bling it up a little bit so you don't just have to hide it on your dresser. We love little cubbies, so I thought, and it's in great shape. Apparently that drawer's upside down. Or maybe I have it upside down. Yeah, it was me who had it upside down. So the drawers don't come out, but that's okay. I can do some paper. I thought some paper on here would just definitely give it a little bit more detail and make it pop. And for $6.29, this flying pig, oh my goodness. There were a few pigs in this week at our Goodwill. Somebody must have been getting rid of their pig collection, but there again, there's nothing I need to do to him, I don't think. Of course, I'd like him to be a little bit, I think he's pretty much on the black side, so I probably just, yet again, just leave him as is, even though I love not having to do a lot of stuff to items. And it's funny because we just went to, here's a little story. I know everybody's always talking about Goodwill prices, and there is just outside our town, there's another town that has an every Tuesday night auction of like home goods and stuff. And actually, in the past, I have sold stuff, instead of having garage sales, taken the stuff there and have them have them sell it for me. We kind of popped in on the Tuesday night that they had it, And I was surprised because the items were going for, even though I think Goodwill has gone up in their prices, the prices that they were selling some of the stuff for, that people are buying for, it was actually more expensive than Goodwill, y'all. I just wanted to share that. I tried to video a little bit, but it was awkward, and I ended up didn't get anything because I'm like, well, I could have thrifted that cheaper at Goodwill. So when we talk about prices of Goodwill going up, I know that's probably not, garage sales are probably better, but and estate sales if you're a day into it or so. But anyway, I just needed to share that with you when we were talking about prices. It's just the way of the world. Anyway, so then for $3.99, it was this set of primitive painted. They're not really pool balls. They're just painted to look like pool balls. So I thought they were cute. And then primitive, there's a set of 6. There we go. Couldn't do quick math there, so a set of 6. So I thought that I do think people still do primitive farmhouse, cottagecore. I definitely industrial. I think it all goes together. Then for $7.29, I got this. It's actually metal. It's metal. It's just made to look like a seashell, made to look like a seashell, and I think it's gorgeous. I was actually surprised when I touched it and it was metal. So yeah, I mean, when you have a booth, I know when I started my booth, I was more farmhouse, but as you're thrifting and you're seeing things, I can appreciate everything that is beautiful. And this to me is beautiful. I mean, I may not put it in my own decor, but somebody else might be looking for something like this. For $4.29, I did pick up, I'm pretty sure this is a necklace holder. Now, I really am torn just to take if I can get, well, as you see, it's all falling apart. And just make it just a cute little form. I think it would be cute taking all this and not hanging anything on it. Now, if I can get those off so it doesn't look like she has short little arms, I think that would actually just be a nice shelf sitter, and then just do some kind of more of an antiquing look, white with some antiquing wax, and just make it look more like an old dress, mannequin dress form. That's my personal opinion. This has already fallen off. The base needs glued, and if I could get these off so she doesn't look like she has weird little short arms that you put little boxing gloves on. Yeah, so that was my vision when I saw it. I passed it up and I'm like, hey, I think, anyway. So talking about primitive, for $4.29, look at this wall pocket. It's black. It's got a nice star on it. It's burlap. It's well done. The pip berries are in good condition. Somebody must have just been changing out their decor, or somebody got a gift they didn't want. Okay, I think it's beautiful, and I will just sell it as is. Even though I do resell primitive, and it does sell, so it's still out there. A lady across from our second booth, she makes the cutest little primitive little animals, like your mice and your bunnies and their little carrots, and she sews it all and antiques it, and oh my gosh, it's so stinking cute. So if you've ever been to our booth and you checked out hers, is so cute. So I know primitives are selling. This was $5.29. Now this is a heavy box. It's a pen. It's probably a pen box, little trinket box. But I love the saying, the writer must write what he has to say, not speak it, Ernest Hemingway. So I know there is a lot of book readers. I thought this was beautiful. It's super heavy though. Oh, I think it's the lid that's the heaviest, but I just thought that was neat. I think this one was $5.29 also. I think this is the missing day. So for $5.29, I picked up this tray only because I thought I could paint it and make it a little bit better, because I would be leery putting a decor in something that's unfinished, that doesn't have a finish on it. As soon as it got wet, it would destroy it. So I'm happy to catch it before it got water damage or candle damage or anything like that. So I can take these off, keep that as black as they are, and then paint this up in distress so we can see that copper. So there's a plan. Now this caught my eye. It's a piece of molding. It was $2.29. It's got a little sitter on it, but I was having a hard time getting it to, I don't know if it's top heavy. I love the star. I think I might change the wording up a little bit if I can. It says, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. So it's from Psalms 91:1. So I mean, I like it, but I don't think you can pop, unfortunately, the wording very much. So I just really liked it as a blank canvas. Nothing against, I collect vintage Bibles, but sometimes you just have to change things up. And I thought this was a great find. I believe this one was $6.29. Look at this. It's a birdie with 4 pots. It's in great shape, even though it's more of an off-white. I'm going to leave it alone. I think I might put some kind of flowers maybe. I have a lot of lavender to use up. I hoarded on lavender and I really would like to use it up, but I gotta be careful not to do everything in our booth lavender or everybody will probably run away. A little bit goes a long way. Then for $4.29, look at this bowl. Oh my gosh, just a beautiful, I'll see how it cleans up. I think some of the finish is off of it, as you can see with the light, so it might need sanded down and re-oiled. But I love running across wooden bowls. I love just absolutely gorgeous. I can't really, it's kind of distorted a little bit, so, or I need my reading glasses on, one or the other. And I got this on $1.99. It is brown enamelware. How cute is that? A little cup, a little spoon. I don't see brown enamelware very often, so I thought, enamelware is kind of hit or miss if it sells or not, but I like to have it on hand. This was $4.29. I don't know if I paid too much, if when it's 40% off at Hobby Lobby or not, but this is just a nice towel holder. I had something similar in our bathroom before we redid it, and I know it was from Hobby Lobby. So for $3.29, I did pick up an Atlas jar, even though I do not need it, but it was the size. I actually have a collection in our laundry room, and I have some of these, but I like them to tier, so I bought it because it had the lid and that it had the lid and that it was a shorter one. Normally I would just pass them up because, as I've said before, they're like a dime a dozen around this area. We have so many people that can. Now for $4.29, it was this paperweight, but it had a jellyfish in it, but unfortunately I did not notice when I got it home. It says Gulf Shores, Alabama. It's picking up the ring light. So I don't know, have any of you ever tried to take them off with acetone? So I'm gonna give it a try. If it works, we'll show it in the video. If not, I'll just, you can flip it around. But I definitely love that it had that jellyfish in there.
Yep, that was way easier than I thought it was going to be. A cotton ball and a quick swipe and it is gone.
This guy was $7.29. Oh my gosh, I love clocks. I'm not doing anything to this clock. It's actually metal. Usually when I run across these in the thrift store, they're plastic, battery, but yep, I'll just leave this as is. I think it's Beyond Street, number 9, Beyond Street, London. I don't know who sells that, but I thought it was very cool. And usually they're round, so this was really cool being square. And as we're going on clocks, I got this one. Oh my gosh, look at the numbers are all white. It's just absolutely clean looking. There's not a maker on it anywhere. So yeah, I just have to dust it, clean it off, get it shiny. It's already shiny, got some fingerprints, but yeah, just resell it as is. I think it's super sweet in that all white. Winding down here. So for $3.29, I still pick up cow creamers, and especially this one because it is red. I definitely think there's a lot of people out there that put red in their kitchens, especially at Christmas time, but I think red cow creamers are pretty cool. And for $2.49, I did pick up a star. It needs some help though. I wish it was that nice rusty color. Stars still sell in our area, so I'm happy to run across them. I don't think I have too many left actually, so I need to, I got some that got damaged that I need to redo. I always when it comes to metal, you don't want metal sitting on top of metal. And somebody, I'm not gonna name anybody, maybe it was me, had 2 stars on top of each other. So your metal on your metal rubs off the paint. So even with the protective of the polycrylic, you really don't want to put metal on metal because there's still sharp edges. So it does scrape it off. So I have a couple that I need to fix. And I did run across this for $4.29, even though it's not an old window, it's a nice window frame. So I definitely want to paint this up. Nothing spectacular about the wood. It's actually really shiny, so I'm gonna have to give it a sanding and knock down that shininess to paint it. And then just put a simple wreath on there. I think somebody would be happy with that find. And you could hang it this way, or you can hang it that way. So whichever, when we go to, it has somebody's name on it. It must be the person that made it. That's what caught my eye. When we go to resell it, we always will put hangers so you could do it either way. And then I did $4.29 on, I probably paid too much for a little frame, but I liked the barn wood. They actually had one in blue, but for $4.29, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do the blue because I don't want to resell the blue. So, and I actually thought about doing this in a grouping. I have some plans to do some more music sheet crafts with you all, so I think I'll probably save that one for then. And then my last thing is another piece of ironstone for $3.29. It was just, I just recently picked up another little serving dish, but this one's probably the most crackly piece I picked up before. It's not so much from the size, but that's just what ironstone does. So I wanted to pick it up for my collection, and so I did. So $3.29 is a great price. So I know everybody's like, how do you know it's ironstone? Most of my ironstone says that it's ironstone. There's different stamps and whatnot. So I guess that's how I know it's ironstone. There's just a look it has that I can usually tell. So anyway, that is it for this week's haul. So let's get into those makeovers.
So let's start with this little pig now. I definitely need to get him cleaned off. I don't know why I always have to give it a sex of a male or a female. But anyway, so just like some Clorox wipes to the metal, trying to get all those metal pieces cleaned off. And I actually just, by chance, thrifted that little bag of clear gems. I thought, you know what, I might need these for other projects. So clear is definitely perfect. So I'm just going to get them cleared off, take the air compressor to them, and take the other eye off and re-glue it. So once I pop that off, you can see the glue that's left behind, and it is some good glue that is stuck to the metal. So I'm going to go ahead, it's a perfect fit, those fit perfectly, but I need to paint it just a little bit. So I'm just going to take some of the Dixie Belle Cocoa Bean, which matches that brown, and give it a coat so you don't see half glue, half non-glue underneath it. And I'm going to use a little bit of the Gorilla Glue and then just a dab of the CA glue, because the CA glue is a quick 15-second, and then I want to make sure that it doesn't pop off again with a little bit stronger for the metal to the glass with the Gorilla Glue. So when it comes to redoing bowls like this, there's just some kind of a top coat that I find that they use, that oiling is just not good enough. You can still see the marks where it is wore off if you just oil it. So I have to go in and sand that top coat off. So I'm starting right off with my mouse sander, and yes, we did purchase a new mouse sander. We really like the Festool line, trying to save up our pennies little by little. They all hook up to the same vacuum system. So I'm going to start off with first just going ahead and getting off this top coat. Then as I work my way up the sides of the bowl, I switched over to the orbital sander to keep that round shape, trying to keep it moving because I don't want to change the shape. I just want to get that top coat off. And then I do the outside also. We got that original top coat sanded off, because if you do not get it all removed, you'll see that top coat through the oil, and just getting it reconditioned with some Howard's cutting board oil. I realized in last week's thrift haul makeovers that I forgot to share how to fix this crack, and I've done these carved bowls before, so I'm just going to recap here. So I just have Starbond, the CA glue line has a black glue that acts like an epoxy, so all I do is just very gingerly pour a little bit in by little, putting some of the accelerator to dry it. I'm trying not to, it's a hard angle to have to sand, so I'm wiping off any of the excess. I always have a piece of drop cloth that I rewash on my little station here that I do everything with, so I'm not one to just always have a towel, and sometimes the towel sticks weird, so I just use this piece of drop cloth. So yes, I'm just filling in that crack with this dark glue. This is not a process that you want to rush. Like I said, it's right at that handle. I don't think I can really get in to sand it. And once that glue has set, it is it's hard to sand. So I don't want a lot of drippage out of this one. Though I thought I did a really good job gluing that, there's a bump out. The whole handle actually with the crack has shifted, so I'm glad that I'm able to save it from completely breaking off. So I can get the tip of my mouse sander in there just enough to get that piece of wood taken down so it's nice and smooth. Now I need to deal with how when I sanded it, it took off the finish. So a little bit of this restore and refinish in the golden oak should match. And the reason these bowls always crack, these carved bowls always crack, is because they need to be oiled often, which I know I don't do mine either. So, and mine has a crack in it. So just the same thing with that same cutting board oil, just really getting it on there. And it'd be amazed. It looks like I have a ton on there, but the next day after I've let it sit overnight, it will all just soak right in. So there probably wasn't really any need to do anything to this, but I'm kind of more of a fan of the black when it comes to metal like this. So I'm just going to get it cleaned up, let it dry. And then since I've had other items that I wanted to do along with it, like the star, getting the tags removed, and then we're just going to get these sprayed up with the black Rust-Oleum paint and primer and the flat finish. So now after I got them a color change with the Rust-Oleum paint, I'm going to seal that paint in with some Polycrylic. Now I usually either have the matte or the satin finish, whichever one I can find. Now, for some reason, I lost some footage on this little box, but got it cleaned up, detagged, and then I actually sprayed it. It has paper on it, so I sprayed it with a couple coats of shellac to seal that paper in before moving on to painting it with the Rust-Oleum spray paint. So sealing that paper in is pretty key, that way that it doesn't pucker, doesn't start to pull away. So I know that I've used the same recycle paper in the last few videos that I've done cubby boxes, but at the time of making these videos, they had already sold in our booth and I have pieces and parts left. So one, it's selling, and two, I have material left to do it. So why not keep on doing it? So since there's plenty to use on this little box, I'm just going to cut off just a wee bit extra, a little bit bigger than what the drawers are. Yep, it's a little bit harder because I can't remove them. And it's that MDF board, so I'm not going to go crazy trying to pull them out. I'm just going to work around what I have to work around. I'm just using some Mod Podge to glue it on the drawer, just putting a nice layer on the entire front of the drawer, just using a paintbrush, whatever you have to apply it, just trying to make sure that it's a nice even coat. Realizing in the next part I need both of my hands, so I'm like, okay, what can I hold this drawer open? Yep, this roll of masking tape will work perfectly. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put the paper on, and I have a sharp X-Acto knife to work around that knob. The knob was not being able to be taken off either, so I'm just going to make a little slit and work it around very gingerly around that knob. Yes, it would have been nice to do a plus sign cut, but the paper wasn't really allowing, and I don't want to rip it, so I'll just gently work it around that knob. Because I need to move on and work on the other two drawers, I'm just going to take that sharp X-Acto knife and cut off a lot of the excess because I'm going to have to close it. I guess I could have waited for each individual drawer to dry, but I don't have the patience for that. So I'll just cut it as close as I can so I can move on to the next drawer. Actually, I'm just going to take a piece of parchment paper, a non-steam iron, and go around. And I actually still do this when the Mod Podge is wet. It seems to help dry it and really seal in those edges and helps get any wrinkles out. Could do another layer of Mod Podge to help seal that paper in, but because this is such a small little 3 drawers, I'm just going to seal the entire piece back in with some polycrylic. So now we are going to move on to painting some pieces white, but I still have my prep to do, taking off the hardware, getting the piece clean, getting them primed with the Rust-Oleum paint and primer. And now for this piece, after I get everything taken off and cleaned, I'm going to seal it in because that wood is so raw with some shellac. I actually was going to run a bead of tape around that metal to save the black, but then realized that it was screwed in, that I could remove it and take it off before spraying it white. So I've got my Kills paint and primer in my TrueCoat 360 handheld sprayer, just watered down just a little bit, so when you pick up your paint stir, that the paint does not pool on top of each other, it just blends in nicely. So because this wood was so raw, even though I shellacked it, I primed it with the black underneath, it really only took 1 coat to coverage because I really want to heavy distress it, and I didn't worry about painting the bottom. So I'm just going in with the orbital sander, and you can see how it just soaked in that paint, but I wanted, because of the type of wood, I just thought it would look nice being heavily distressed. Then I knew that the overspray on the bottom would be easy enough to sand off. Finish this piece up and seal that white paint in and protect it. I'm just using some Varathane clear wax in the natural. I need to paint this. And in my last makeover, I did a crackle on a mug tree and I absolutely loved it. So I got this cleaned up, detagged, and I really would like to see some of the red through this. So I'm just going to put some of that Dollar Tree glue on and see how this turns out. So just a little bit of the glue, let it dry just a tad bit so it's still wet, but the top coat has just a little bit of a film on it. So when you go to put your other paint on top of it, it just doesn't blend together. Now I did a little bit of sanding if there was any build up. It crackled beautifully. Oh my goodness. And so now I'm just touching up that area that the sprayer just can't get to very well without being a contortionist and being able to flip your body that way, I guess. But just minimal to just touch up those bottoms. And then, yep, I just left the bottom of it natural. So when I sanded it, it's still nice and clean. Can't really tell you if this is a piece of salvaged or if somebody made it, but as you see, the peg's just not long enough to help sustain to hold up what the top molding is. It just keeps falling over. And then I have a little bit of cleanup to do on the back when I sand it, but I'm going to save the star and leave it as is. Now I'd like to make this look a little bit more like it's salvaged from an old barn. Yeah, we're going for that. So I'm going to do the crackle on it, but I want to put some of this red barn Dixie Belle paint on the bottom. So I'm just going to apply some splotches here and there with a paintbrush. And heck, why not? I'm going to go ahead with some of the cocoa bean and add a little bit of more underneath color. Even though the cocoa bean is definitely a dark brown that kind of matches the black, I just thought it would be fun to have some different layers of paint underneath the crackle. To speed up my process, because I'm impatient for paint to dry, I'm using the assistance of the heat gun to dry my paint. Now I find that the Dixie Belle paint stays in place where it needs to be a little bit better than the Waverly, but they still both work out. This crackle turned out beautiful. Wow, I'm just amazed with that. So I'm going to keep the star as is. I like the tone, the old tone of the dirtier white next to the new crackled white. And all I did was go to my Cricut. I just picked a simple font that will fit that space and just printed out or cut out Old Farmhouse. And now I'm just going to go ahead and apply this as a stencil onto the down area of this. So I don't know if it was the glue or what was it, but my sponge wasn't really working very well. Maybe it's the sponge. So I switched over to my JRV stencil brush to use some apple barrel multi-use black paint for the stencil color, and now I will just hurry the process of drying paint along using the heat gun, and I always like to use it to help release that sticky when removing my vinyl off from using a stencil. Not only did I distress my lettering just a little bit, I took that tape off and I'm getting off that hard crusty edge where paint always builds up. And then I'm not going to use that little peg, the dowel. I'm just going to reattach just a hanging system. I think it was just a little too top heavy. For this window pane, I'm going to have to get some of that shine off. It's just way too shiny. You know that your paint is not going to stick. So I'm going to go ahead and take some 80 grit sandpaper and get off most of it that I can so my paint will adhere properly. I'm going to go ahead and tape off the backside to try to protect it. A good reason to have CA glue, that Starbond CA glue on hand. And here I am in the process. I'm washing it down, getting ready to paint, and one of the window panes inside is loose, not attached. So a little bit of CA glue, a little bit of the dryer, 15 seconds. It is dry. If I need to, I can sand it and I can proceed on painting. Before I can proceed on painting, I need to seal this in. I see that cherry color that might cause some problems. I do want my finished color to be white, so I don't want it to yellow. So I'm going to give it a couple coats of shellac to prevent that bleed through. And since I already coated this with shellac, I thought it would be fun to try. And it already has those variations of wood on this window pane. So I want the crackle effect. So I'm just going to go in with that Dollar Tree glue and just randomly paint it in places. So in case you're wondering, no, I did not seal that black paint in. I was afraid that the polycrylic would seal in the glue, and I really wanted to try this double layer technique on this window pane. Oh, I'm loving on this crackle. Oh my goodness. Now I just need to clean my back off. Now I will say that the glue made the paint a little bit more runny on the plus sign squares, but I tried my best. That's all you can ask for. To add some greenery, I actually bought 2 of these. I think I used one in my last thrift haul because the greenery at Hobby Lobby was 50% off, and I think these are beautiful wreaths. So I'm just going to add this one to this window pane just using some wire. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and attach my hanging system so I don't smash my wreath. So I'll add one vertically and one horizontally so the person that purchases this, they can hang it either way. So now let's see if I can transfer this into an old vintage looking dress form. Yep, it's already a dress form, but it's a necklace holder. I know it has a multi-purpose, but I just want it to be a cute little shelf sitter. So as you see, it was already falling apart to begin with, so it's a little bit easier to remove the tag off the bottom. Well, not as easy as I'd hoped, but I still need to remove that tag. And that these just pull out. Since the other pieces fell apart easily, I think that these won't take too much work to pull off. So as I seem to be taking everything else apart, I need to put the base back on so this will stand up. So a little CA glue, little activator on the dowel rod, stick it back in, hold it for 15 seconds, and we should be good to go. I know that it is very easy to get busy and get into the painting, but still never forget to clean your piece so your paint adheres properly. But now I'm going to take a little bit of that wood filler and cover up where I pulled off those little arms and where the top piece was. Like this to have that old linen look, so I'm going to go ahead and use Dixie Belle's drop cloth. This is just a nice creamy tan color, and I think one coat actually, because I primed it, and polycrylic that is going to coat this really well. Now I'm not going to worry about the underneath of the bottom, I'm just going to get it on the dress form itself. Now after that one coat has dried, that's all it took. It covered well. So I'm actually just going to use my watered down version of antiquing wax, where it's 1/4 cup antiquing wax, a spoonful of ink, and the rest in that pickle jar of water. Sometimes the Waverly wax on its own, when I'm covering up a cream, a white, tends to be a little more reddish than I'd like it to be. So I'm testing this out for the first time to see if this antiques the color I'm looking for. So far, I am loving the color. Now, if I would have done this over that Rust-Oleum chalk paint where I mix the two together, the Rust-Oleum paint distresses so easy. The watered down version would definitely have been taking it off. So that's another reason I tended to use the drop cloth by Dixie Belle. I wanted my paint to stay underneath, but I'm liking how this is turning out. So after that watered down version has dried completely, I'm going to seal it in with some polycrylic. I like to put a little bit of lettering, some wordage on this little dress form. I know that it's not very big, so I'm actually going to try wax paper. I've done freezer paper, but I really would like to try wax paper. I just need a little bit of something. So I'm using double stick tape, a piece of cardstock, which is thicker, to run a reversed image through my printer. Now I'm going to Pinterest, and this is on my saved. So this is actually some numbers that I had already seen that I had saved that were in reverse. And it allows me to do a copy and paste. So I'm just going to copy the image and put it into my Excel program and then be able to print it out from there. I know that I need to make these really small to fit on the bust part of that dress form. So I'm going to go ahead and resize it, look at how it's going to print out. And I'm really just guesstimating if it was small enough. And I think that it will be just fine. So now that I have it all printed out, and when I am printing out on tissue paper, wax paper, I hover right over my copier to make sure that it's not getting feeded in too fast to get all tangled up. There's a little key. Don't just think it's going to go on its own. I kind of guide it. So I'm actually just going to cut off that top number 1 and 2 and use that. So try really hard not to touch that ink because it is really wet. There was nothing for that wax paper for it to absorb onto, so I just cut it out. And it's really a quick transfer because that ink is so wet, it doesn't take much to rub at all. Once dry, I'll give it a little bit more of Polycrylic. Absolutely love the natural color of these candlesticks, and you can see, yep, they need some help. So we're going to pop off that metal, and I have a couple of the wood rounds. Nope, these are not from Hobby Lobby. They're actually from Joann's, so check out a Joann's. If they were actually cheaper to buy one separately than to buy two together at Hobby Lobby. I just have to share that with you all. So, yep, price comparison. I never think about looking for them at Joann's, but now to get the tags off, I need the assistance of the heat gun because, yeah, it's really hot in there, and then a little bit of glue gun, but I'll take the cheaper price for a little bit more work. After getting the glue gun washed off of these little rounds, now I'm proceeding to paint them with the Kills Paint and Primer. Nope, did not undercoat that. That will not match. No black needed here. And so now I'm taking some Gorilla Glue and some CA glue, mixing the two together, a nice bead around that outer lip of that candlestick. Godwink moment, it's a nice fit. The tops are now dry, but I want to make sure that they are glued on there good. So the Gorilla Glue, the Starbond CA glue for the quick adhesion, and then a little bit stronger bond with, and you could do tight bond, you could do whatever glue you choose. It's just what I had on hand. I let these set up overnight, and now I'm going to go ahead and sand them. Now I really want them to be very distressed to see a lot of that natural wood underneath, and the sandpaper by hand is just not cutting it, so I'm going to go ahead and use my orbital sander. This is where you really want to make sure that that was glued on there good. And then to seal these in, I'm just going to use some of the Varathane clear natural wax to seal and protect that wood. So with that being that raw pine, it's just going to soak it right in. Now, I know that my haul and my makeovers tend to be a little bit long, but I couldn't help myself when I had to go to two different places to find wood rounds. And I had, as you can see, I've had these candlesticks for a while trying to find something that would fit on the top that I was going to thrift, but sadly I had never have. So, yep, going to Joann's, I found the perfect size of wood rounds to fit these candlesticks. So I'm just really going to do a quick version before and after. You already know I'm going to paint them black. But I will show you the little quick version of this. I told you that was going to be a fast forward because I was going to edit these out, but I absolutely loved how making my own white wax with the Waverly white wax, which is a little bit more creamy, and a little bit of the Waverly white paint, made oh my goodness, a white wax that made the details on these candlesticks just pop. At first glance, you probably thought I was just painting the whole candlesticks white. It's just, it's that wax on, a wax off type of thing. So, yep, I'm pushing it into all those little details. Look how it's popping. Oh, my goodness. So, I'm wiping most of it off that I can, and then I'll take a rag with a little bit of the natural, very thin clear wax and make sure that I get it nice and clean in the areas I don't want it to look cloudy. But these I absolutely loved how these turned out. So yes, absolutely love how the bottoms turned out. I got them glued on. They sat overnight. Now I'm going to give them a quick sanding because these pine rounds are very raw before just doing a little bit of a staining on them. I don't want to darken them. I want to leave a lot of that natural wood, but just using the watered down version of antiquing wax to give them a little bit of color. After that dries, I will seal it in with the Polycrylic and give it a light steel wool sanding. a few florals to share with you for those who want to do a little bit of artificial flower arranging. This is a little cute little wire form that I bought at the barn sales, and then I actually had picked up this little cement planter, I don't know, forever ago. It's amazing how you hoard on to things until it's the right moment to use them. So I love this as is. I love that galvanized as is, and I just want to add, I have told you I have a lot of lavender. So I have lavender from 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and this year ago. Some bigger totes than I am willing to show you. So I'm just going to stuff some of this crinkle paper in the, you could use the moss, but the moss, the Spanish moss at the dollar store has been looking way more brown than I'm happy with, and I don't think it does anything for the green that's on the lavender. So I'm just going to put this just to hide that floral foam at the bottom to stick my greenery in, my lavender in, and you don't really see too much of it, and I think it gives a better, personally, it gives a better accent color than the Spanish moss that's more on the brown side. So now we're just going to take, I have 3 different the stems, 3 different types of lavender, all from Walmart, all purchased, as I said previously. So now I'm going to add the 3 together to add some depth into this beautiful little arrangement. Is there anybody out there that's watching that struggles putting arrangement together? My children did, well, my daughter did flower arranging for 4-H for many years, even though I really didn't know what I was doing. We kind of all learned together. So yes, cut those off, those stems. They're really made to be cut off. You don't just have to flop them in there. And then see how I start one in the middle and then I work my way around. So I had 5 pieces, which worked out, and it's going to make it nice and full. So it really will take minimal to fill this. And so, yep, just start working your way around, kind of like every other one, making sure that you get your middle, making sure that you get your all 4 sides. Remember, when you're doing a flower arrangement, you want all the sides to look beautiful. So, yep, I'm just cutting down so I have enough of the wire to stick into that form that I don't have to worry about gluing anything together. Now to hide a little bit more of that crinkle paper, this one has some greenery on it, so I'm going to cut some of those stems off, making sure I got plenty of wire to stick into that form to make it a little bit fuller at the bottom. I always like to reuse every bit if I can. I could have sold this as is. It may have sold without the greenery, but I really envisioned when I saw this simple little flower that was full. The stems are very full. The price was wonderful at 50% off. So I thought it coordinated well in my vision, because of course I didn't have it with me. So I'm going to use that floral foam, but I'm going to use the brown crinkle paper at the bottom to cover up the floral foam. Now I do not hot glue my floral foam in, because I always think, what if somebody wants to change it out? And I know the nightmare of trying to clean hot glue out of the bottom of containers. So I just make sure that it's a nice tight fit. To make these really full, not only did I cut the individual stems off, but I also found a center point in between the stem itself to cut it into 2 pieces. That way I'm going to get the most use, and these little containers are going to look super full. So that is also an idea. You don't just have to use the one stem you cut out. You could find a breaking point. You want to make sure that you cut that second piece all the way down so you don't have a piece of just wire hanging out, but it'll definitely help this look really full and look at minimal of, yes, I think I only ended up using 2 of these whole stems for this whole container.
So thank you so much for watching today's thrift haul of my secondhand finds when I'm out thrifting. I love sharing it with you all, trying to share a little bit of the pricing with you also. And then if you stayed for the makeovers, thank you so much. And as always, Let me know which one of the items that I thrifted was your favorite, and then what item I made over was your favorite. So again, thanks for being part of our YouTube family, for always giving me kind compliments, being so supportive of what we do here on Ginger Chick Rehab. And if you're new and you're checking out this content for the first time and you liked what you saw, please hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know when we've uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye.